Samyam Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Zero projects of source sector included among 128 to be presented at the investment summit. Government fails to recognize the prospects of sports sector with immense possibilities. Private sector indifferent as well. Prime Minister Pushpakumar Dahal issues series of statements in defense of Minister of Home Affairs Ravi Lamithani. Premier alleges opposition Nepali Congress of seeking political revenge. Number of women in leadership roles microscopic in absence of opportunities. Political parties define proportionate mechanism to serve their interests. Information technology sector not women friendly. And Nepal men's national cricket team to play Malaysia in their first match of the ACC Premiers Cup tomorrow. Aim to win the tournament to secure their spot in the T20 Asia Cup. The government is set to hold the investment summit on April 28 and 29. A total of 128 projects of agriculture, hydroelectricity, communications and industries are being showcased. However, at a time when the sports sector is in need of large infrastructures, not a single project of the sector holding immense investment possibilities has been included. The government leadership and the private sector does not seem aware about the fact that the sports sector can grow as an industry with great economic returns in itself. Main purpose of the investment summit is to invite large investments for the economic development of the country. Nepal is holding the investment summit for the third time. However, neither the government nor the private sector seem to be aware about the sports sector being a significant factor for economic prosperity of the nation. Prime ministers and sports ministers never miss out on presenting Nepal's prospects as a neutral venue. However, they have never paid serious attention towards construction of infrastructures. Analysts have said that the sports sector of the country has remained ignored because of the economic condition of the nation and the requirements of the sector. But no agenda of sports at the investment summit is a clear evidence to the drought in the thought process of the government and the private sector. Craze of cricket has grown immensely in recent time. Tribhuvan University International Cricket Grounds in Kantipur can no longer accommodate the spectators reaching the venue to support and cheer for Nepal. Infrastructures of Biratnagar, Bhairawa, Birganj and Dhangadi remain incomplete. Despite the lapse of years since the beginning of construction works of the lower ground at Mulpani with government investment, it remains to be completed. In absence of an alternative to Dashrath Stadium, the men's national football team are compelled to play home matches at opponent's ground. National sport volleyball has been stranded without its own covered hall for several years. The sports sector cannot grow without investment from the government and the private sector. And despite the opportunity to present its proposals for investment when provided the opportunity, the Ministry of Youth and Sports did not furnish its agenda. The private sector also did not pay any attention in this regard. Investment in the sports sector is generated by the sector itself. While tourism is considered one strong source of revenue of Nepal, sports tourism has remained forever ignored. Having 2 to 4 international standard stadiums, it is not just about organizing some sports events. These venues also help in increasing local businesses and creation of employment opportunities while also boosting sports tourism. Competition among the private sector for investment in the sports sector can be seen in neighboring India. Multinational companies are investing massively in the sports sector and the athletes in Germany, South Korea and Japan among other countries with evident returns on investment. Nepal could be a small market, but without starting with investments, the nation could forever remain behind in the sports sector. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we asked, what do you term the protests of political parties holding the parliament hostage? 51% were for A, risk of weakening mechanism, 15% were for B, ignoring issues of public concern, and 34% voted for C, parliamentary practice. And here is our today's question. Why have sports infrastructures not been prioritized for the investment summit? Your options are A, not understanding the significance, B, inadequate lobbying, and C, projects not identified. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Prime Minister Pushpakumar Dahal has alleged Nepali Congress of seeking political revenge by obstructing the parliament. Speaking with journalists in Biratnagar, Prime Minister Dahal alleged Nepali Congress of seeking political revenge in the name of fraud of cooperatives by holding the parliament hostage after Ravi Lamechhane declined Nepali Congress's proposal of appointing him as the Prime Minister. Premier Dahal reiterated that there was no need for parliamentary investigation as Lamechhane was not found involved in the fraud of cooperatives through the investigation carried out by the Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police. He went on to add that the obstructions at the parliament would be ended through political dialogue. Dahal also alleged Nepali Congress of raising political issues instead of the case related to cooperatives. Now, two major tourist destinations or hubs of Kathmandu, Thamel and Dharmarg, are to open 24 hours or around the clock from the 1st of Baisakh as per the Nepali calendar, which is also the new Nepali year. Based on the recommendation of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Thamel Tourism Development Council and Dharmarg Development Board jointly prepared criteria and are to operate local businesses around the clock without affecting security arrangements and the society. Businesses have said that operating the areas with relatively higher movement or footfalls of tourists around the clock is likely to aid in reviving the national economy. There are around 8,500 businesses in Thamel with around 60,000 employed. Meanwhile, the Dharmarg area has around 200 businesses with 7,000 employed. With these two areas operating 24 hours, more jobs are expected to be created. It is now time for a short break, but for more news, do stay with us. Former President Bidya Devi Bhandari has identified the need for continuous effort for full proportionate representation by protecting the achievements of women. At the 4th edition of the Nirvik Nari, an event organized by Kantipur Media Group to celebrate women, former President Bhandari said several achievements had been made through movements and campaigns for social justice, women's rights and equality, but called for continuous effort to ensure full proportionate representation. She also identified the need for social awareness to put an end to existing social crimes, including child marriage, polygamy and domestic violence. Low number of women in decision-making level is because of inadequate opportunities for them. Women are also left behind in open competitions. And despite the political parties talking about proportionate representation, except for mandatory requirements, they do not prioritize women participation and representation. And despite these challenges, several influential women have emerged as leaders in commercial and social sectors. Now, addressing the 4 sessions of Nirvik Nari, an event organized by the Kantipur Media Group to celebrate women, women and men from different sectors stressed on the need for empowering women financially, politically and socially. Speaking at the Women in Leadership Breaking with Tradition session, the speaker said that the capabilities of women could not be assessed without having them in the leadership positions and added that they should first be provided with opportunities. Chief Election Commissioner Dinesh Kumar Thapalia said that the narrative of the proportionate mechanism being only for women was wrong. He added that the political parties had interpreted the constitutional provision of women representation to serve their interests. Saying the draft of the new laws related to election required 33% women in direct candidates, Thapalia added that all political parties had to be pressurized for its implementation. Member of Bagmati Provincial Assembly from Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, Lakshmi Ghimire, said that the political parties themselves were denying opportunities to women. She said that women were denied spots for direct competition and leadership roles with the assumption that they cannot spend during elections. Deputy Mayor of Kathmandu Metropolis, Sunita Dongol, identified the need for ensuring financial empowerment to ensure independence of women. Also addressing the session, former Nepal women's national cricket team captain Rubina Chhetri Belbase said women faced several challenges but added that they should never give up. Second session of the event discussed maternity, where Assistant Professor at the Department of Psychiatry, TU Teaching Hospital, Sagun Ballabh Panta, and Director of Punyarjan Foundation, Kumuduni Koirala, stated that women were not receiving proper treatment during their pregnancy and after giving birth. Actor Gauri Malla said the decision to become a mother should entirely be of women. Speakers of the third session, titled Leaders in Information Technology, shared their grievances regarding the sector not being women-friendly. With increasing participation of women in the IT sector, they identified the need for improvements in policies. In the final session, titled Judging Beauty, the speakers called for change in the perspective of assessment of beauty. Experts of different sectors had attended the 4th edition of Nirvik Nari organized by KMG. The Asian Development Bank (ADB) has anticipated Nepal's economy to grow by 3.6% at market prices in the fiscal year 2024, up from an estimated growth of just 1.9% in the fiscal year 2023. The Asian Development Outlook (ADO) to April 2024, a flagship publication of the ADB, has stated that a gradual relaxation of monetary policy coupled with improved consumer and investor confidence is expected to stimulate economic activity in fiscal year 2024. It is said that the service sector growth is likely to accelerate as credit controls ease, interest rates further decrease, and tourism revenues expand. The ADB has also recommended the government to expedite development expenditure. As per the outlook, agricultural growth may increase marginally from 2.7% in last fiscal year to 2.8% as a record rice harvest is tempered by a shortfall in winter crops and other agricultural production given the deficient rainfall this winter season. The report projects annual average inflation to fall to 6.5% in fiscal year 2024 from 7.7% in fiscal year 2023 on subdued oil prices and a decline in inflation in India, Nepal's main import source. External risks remain relatively well contained. The current account deficit may fall again into deficit after registering a surplus in the first half of fiscal year 2024. ADB principal economist for Nepal, Jan Hansen, has said that the downside risks to the economic outlook in fiscal year 2024 may arise from a downturn in the global economy affecting Nepal's tourism and remittance receipts. The outlook has added that any intensified geopolitical turmoil could disrupt supply chains, pushing up global inflation and tightening global financial conditions, which may lead to a tightening of domestic monetary policy, undermining investment and consumption and dragging down growth. Last week, the World Bank had projected Nepal's economic growth rate to figure 3.3% in 2024. The government of Nepal has set an economic growth rate target of 6% for the ongoing fiscal year. In our Public Voice segment, today we have asked about the significance of Eid festival. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
सबैजनाले एक ठाउँमा बसेर खुसी मनाउँछु नमाज पढ्छु
सबै प्यार मोहब्बतले आपसमा मेल मिलाप भेटचाट मिठो मिठो खाना खाउने अनि ईद त्योहार मनाउने
30 दिन हामी रोजा बसेको अनि हामी चाहिँ यसमा ईदको दिन हामी रमाइलो गर्छु
हाम्रो मुस्लिमहरुको सबभन्दा ठूलो पर्व ईदलाई भनिन्छ ईद कठिन पर्व हो तर खुशी धेरै फिल गर्छहरु
अब ईद भन्ने बित्तिकै चाहिँ हाम्रो मुस्लिम धर्महरुको पवित्र चाड रमजानसँग चाहिँ जोडिएर आएको हुन्छ के
एक महिना व्रत बसेर ईद मनाउँछौ
एक महिनाको व्रत सकेपछि अल्लाहले हामीलाई एक ईदको दिन सेलिब्रेट गर्न दिएको हुन्छन्
ईद कसरी मनाइन्छ भने आफ्नो यो खुसीको ईद हो
दान दक्षिणा गर्न नि पाइयो तराई पढ्न नि पाइयो यो अल्लाहको लागि
Sports News.
ACC Men's Premier Cup begins in Oman tomorrow. Nepal men's national cricket team are to play Malaysia in their first match of the tournament, which is being participated by 10 top associate nations. The tournament will decide the only team to qualify for the T20 Asia Cup 2025. Now, having won the one-day international ODI format of the tournament to play their first Asia Cup, Team Nepal, the Rhinos, are the contenders of the T20 format of the tournament as well. Known as the Rhino Army, Team Nepal are aiming to win the tournament to secure their spot at the T20 Asia Cup for the very first time. Team Nepal have been in regular preparations for the T20 World Cup and are strong contenders for the ACC Premier Cup. After winning the ODI format of the ACC Premier Cup held at home last year, Team Nepal had displayed impressive performances against strong sides India and Pakistan. Rohit Paudel is leading the team to ensure another encounter with these giants. Teams participating at the ACC Men's Premier Cup have been divided into two groups. Nepal are in Group A alongside Hong Kong, Malaysia, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Hong Kong can present some tough challenge for Nepal in the group stage. Meanwhile, Group B includes Bahrain, Cambodia, Kuwait, Oman and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia and Cambodia had qualified for the Premier Cup after finishing among the top two of the Challengers Cup. And despite the group stage appearing relatively easy for Nepal, the last four stage is certain to be challenging. Oman and the UAE are the contenders for semi-finals from Group B, and both of them are familiar rivals of Nepal. There are high possibilities of Nepal facing one of these two sides in the final if the Rhinos progress to the tournament decider. However, the home conditions are certain to benefit Oman. Previously, Oman had won the final of the T20 World Cup qualifiers and progressed to the T20 World Cup as well. The UAE are also strong competitors of Nepal. However, the Rhinos have been defeating the UAE regularly in recent time. Nepal had seen off the UAE in the semi-final to qualify for the T20 World Cup after a decade, while the Rhinos had also beaten them in the final of the ODI format of the Premier Cup to play the Asia Cup. Team Nepal appear high on confidence after winning 11 of their last 12 matches under the World Cup League 2 cycle last year. The Rhinos then won the ACC Premier Cup, which established them as one of the top associate nations. And now, before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time.